Hi everyone, it's Alex from Risk Academy, and in this short video I want to talk about how many risks should be included in a risk assessment, in a typical risk assessment. And there's an important caveat, because in Risk Management 2, and if you haven't seen my distinction between Risk Management 1 and Risk Management 2, make sure you subscribe to the channel and you check out some of the other videos. There's more than 500 videos on different risk management topics. So in Risk Management 2, we only do risk assessments when it is necessary to add some insight to the decision at hand. It could be a budgeting decision, it could be a planning decision, it could be an investment decision, it could be a maintenance decision, it could be a procurement decision, it could be an operational decision, choosing between plant A or plant B, or technology A or technology B, or location A versus location B. Each of those decisions require risk analysis if those decisions are uncertain and are associated with significant uncertainty, and so they require some risk analysis. And so the question, well, how many risks and how do we incorporate all various risks into every single one decision? And the answer is very simple. Normally you only incorporate the risks that are relevant to the decision at hand, and very few decisions in the corporate world require a lot of risks to be included, because most of the time there are specific risks that are relevant to decision A, and there is a different subset of risks that are relevant to decision B. Sure, there is always an overlap, but you pick and choose the risks that you want to include in your risk analysis model that are relevant to the decision at hand. And so, as I said, there are very few decisions in the corporate world that require a broad spectrum of risk. Can you think of them? Please write in the comments underneath this video. And while you're thinking about this, click that subscribe button and like if you're finding this and other videos useful. So, in my experience, there are two decisions that require a broad look at risk, because for every other decision the scope is usually pretty narrow, and those decisions are usually in treasury. They have to do with liquidity, cash flow, and covenants. It's basically when you're trying to understand, well, what's the probability of us breaching our contractual agreements if the company is leveraged, a contractual agreement with the bank, if the company is leveraged, what's the probability of us breaking one of our covenants, what's the probability that the company will be cash flow negative, or that it will be require extra government funding or extra commercial funding. That's when you usually include a broad spectrum of risks. However, when you do that, because in Risk Management 2 we rarely build a risk model from scratch, we usually incorporate risk analysis, we usually incorporate distributions and correlations, and we run simulation inside existing model. So for those questions you would use an existing cash flow model, or it could be a strategic model. And because you're using an existing model, the chances are you will be quite restricted in what sort of risks you can incorporate, because you will be restricted by the design of the model. And since it is much more valuable to get a quick approximate answer than to spend years and years, okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, months and months building the perfect cash flow model on the planet, although we did try that, and it actually takes more than a year to build a very sophisticated cash flow model, and sometimes it takes more than 2 years. So it's not a simple exercise. Sometimes, often I should say, you get so much value from building a minimum viable product, and that's being incorporating some of the risks into existing cash flow model and making the decisions based on that you can save company millions without first delaying the decision and building the most sophisticated cash flow model on the planet. So I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. The points I wanted to make in this video are this. Very few decisions in corporate world require you to incorporate many different risks. Most of the time the risks are actually very restrictive, specific to the nature of decision at hand. That's one. Second, because we're trying to incorporate uncertainty into existing models, we're usually quite restricted by those models as to what risks we can incorporate. And hence, again, it's highly unlikely that you would be able to incorporate unlimited number of risks. And you should start by incorporating the risks that you can incorporate, because the decisions and the conclusions and the value that you can generate from that, that is relatively quick, methodologically simple, is enormous. And while your ultimate goal may be to build the perfect cash flow strategic model for the company and incorporate all the risks in it, you shouldn't delay the value generation until you do so. You should generate the value today and then build your credibility on that value, and then spend the rest of the time as your kind of side activity building this perfect risk model. So a perfect risk model is not the ultimate objective. We can and should generate value to the business and support the decision making using the models and using the risk data that we have available right now. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and write something in the comments below. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.